I know how to play dominoes. I know how to play clever chess. I can throw a dot. I'm just not good at it, Mario. And maybe it's because I've never been good really at mathematics. That's why I became a journalist. But what if you could use games like dominoes, clever chess, darts as a way to educate, maybe inspire a little bit of an interest in the theory, the utility of mathematics. Devon Peterson is best known as South Africa's only professional darts player competing on the global stage. He's competing in the Darts World Cup in Frankfurt in June. But what he's been doing here at home, he has an initiative called Dartboard Maths, and he's using the game of darts to help learners engage with mathematics in a more practical and accessible way. He joins me on the line from the Netherlands. Good morning, Devon. Hope you're well.
Good morning, Lester. How are you doing?
Very good, thank you. Before I get on to dart maths, just very quickly on just how darts, a pub sport with all due respect in what it was generally seen, now this huge spectator sport, whether it be the Pally Bowers, whether it be the World Cup, we're seeing a lot more darts, filling the airtime of our sports channels, and I actually like that. I appreciate it. Just recently, I was tuned in to Pally Power and darts competitions, and I think that's great for the sport, isn't it?
100%. I think it has it's lost the pub element that you kind of alluded to early on. It's now two gladiators going up on stage head to head with almost versions of spears that now create a intense, almost unwritten kind of excitement that is captivated by the English crowd and now moving into slowly into Europe and as well as USA. And I think
Mm.
that it's a sport played by many. It's a sport experienced by many, and now the entertainment side obviously adds to it. But I think when you mention that, I think you realize very quickly that the progression of a sport like darts has never been something that was almost visualized or envisioned. But now that we see it, you really see the how amazing the sport is, and I'm just unlocking the other side of it.
So, to you, of course, darts is a game of scoring. You have to throw in a dartboard and to calculate just how much you need to win. But what is the utility? What is the connection of the game of darts and developing, firstly, an interest, and then a utility, and then I hope a love in mathematics among school going children?
The initial phase of darts is simply understanding the dartboard, and because the numbers are not sequential, it gives you an opportunity to develop patterns with cognitive recall. So when you understand that mathematics is predominantly about solutions and obviously solving problems, but when you look at a dartboard itself, it's a literal cheat code. It's literally the darts is it's maths practice, and experience in a sport. So the understanding of what dartboard maths is, and just realizing, as me playing it for so many years and in the household, and my dad obviously training me from a young age, you understand that there's a lot of almost similarities within a classroom and how you can enhance it. So when you think of when you're in a classroom and you almost engage differently from a lesson that is in a textbook that is black and white, or a page that you get that is photocopied. Now you have a dartboard on your desk that is full of color, and it also there's so many secrets on there that can be unlocked. And through dartboard maths, I've reconstructed or almost deconstructed the way in which we calculate on a dartboard and made it fun and engaging for kids, with mascots and just almost giving all the secrets out to kids under from the age of four and a half up till 99 basically. But when you look at it from that point of view, I mean, there's a lot of elements of genius wiring, if you must call it that, that the dartboard does possess, and I've now unlocked it to a point where it can help kids with that have special needs. It helps typical learners. It helps kids that are challenged with maths, and we make it in a fun way.
Look, I have a BCAF in dominology at the University of the Western Cape's main cafeteria. Um, but when you put it like that, it's understanding the algorithm. It's recognizing the mathematical pattern. It's problem solving. And I mentioned Clever Just dominoes. I mentioned Ayuya, and that is darts. And games and pastimes that are almost discarded. Are you wasting your time? You're playing dominoes in the caf. Could actually be used as a way of let's find out ways on how we can find the algorithm, look at the patterns, and then try and solve what could be mathematical problems.
And that's correct. I mean, you talk about problems, and we talk about the different communities that we have and the challenges that we have, not in South Africa but globally, with the subject of math. And you look at South Africa's systemic uh, results coming through. South Africa ranking last. It gave me a shock because I'm saying that we have a dart champion that has this program, and why don't I start in South Africa? But I think that the one thing that does taint the enthusiasm from education, if you must call it that, um, it's the fact that the sport is still seen as a pub sport
Mm.
or a sport that is aligned with drinking. So we whitewashing the sport through another project or a venture that I've gone into, which is called the International Darts School League, which then aligns that we say that kids don't get interested in darts. You almost the slogan is develop your greatness in IDSL, because darts you actually stumble upon your greatness simply because you don't just go like a kid like with a rugby. You're gonna look at him, he's built differently. Okay, cool, he can probably run through somebody and he can run with a ball, and that's he's gonna become a springbok, for example. Now when you look at darts, you go, what characteristics stand out for a dart player? I mean, that is only decided when you are 18, 19 and you're going to pubs. So now what we've created is with dartboard maths as almost the grassroots level or the foundation level of understanding IDSL, then going into the International Dart School League, and that then now becomes the first ever semi-autonomous coaching app, which now not only teaches you the algorithm and maths, but it also teaches you techniques, routines, and we're literally developing a full garage to grandstand system that will kind of further the way in which we see the sport, number one, and number two is develop more world champions, not only in South
Yeah.
Africa but in the world.
And so, and this actually has some support. WCD says, "Look, we'll support you in this. Let's introduce dartboard maths into some schools. You're already at the Rosendal High in Delft. Let's find a way. But also, just the kids. When I grew up, the kids who played arcade games weren't running outside and causing havoc. They became coders. The kids who were very sporting and active, they had something to do. Even the kids today who spend their times at the cousin or the friend's house that has a pool table coming from our communities, they are doing something. So whether it be darts or dominoes or pool or whether it's games, we give kids something to do simply to keep the idle hands busy. And I think that utility alone, by developing a program saying kids can do something, even if it's seen as a pub sport, it's something for them to do, Devon.
Yeah, I think you're hitting the nail on the head. It's long as the time gone where you have sports at school where it just becomes a distraction. I used to play in school sports as well. Me coming from Mondale High in Portland, uh, with I mean athletics being one of the key parts of going to Mondale High. But when you understand what the impact is, and the reason obviously for us going to Delft, and I say us, my Dartboard Maths, IDSL, CARES, NPC, as well as Hollywood Foundation, setting up the very first dart center in South Africa, in Rosendal. Now, understanding the circumstances and situation in Delft area, we look at it and we went, darts can be the difference maker. If we set it up correctly, globally kids are experiencing an academy for them. And South Africa is always the last to almost ignite from a level of professional sports and academy, and we tend to then develop kids in a way that we experience higher levels of sporting almost eloquence. So I'm saying that with regards to darts itself, we can do that because the sport is quite quickly adapted and adopted. Now with what we're building, I mean, currently now we have in Gqeberha area we have over 400 kids playing on a weekly basis. In the IDSL Academy, run by Simon Adams as a director of sport over there for us. And when we look at it in Cape Town, we literally can create the pathway to the
Mm.
professional standards. So now with us hosting all of these international qualifiers, being tied in with the PDPA and World Dart Federation, the sport of darts now is put on a pedestal and a
Yeah.
platform that can connect globally.
Well, best of luck to you, Devon. Devon Peterson, South Africa's professional darts player, is actually taking part in the World Cup in Frankfurt in June, talking to us about dartboard maths.